What's going on YouTube? In this video, I'm going to be talking about buying my first fourplex out of state and how much money I make from it. So if you guys are new to this channel, welcome. My name is Sean and I'm a real estate investor and hard money lender based here in the Bay Area. And on this channel, we go over real estate investing tips, strategies, and current events to help you guys become a real estate investing boss. Now, if you guys haven't seen my other videos of my other rental properties, go ahead and check them out over here, where I talk about how I purchased them and the numbers behind them. So back in 2017, after I've purchased my first 2 rental properties, I was really excited and I had the bug to buy more rental investments. I love the cash flow and I love how real estate paid you in multiple ways, not just from the rents every month, but as time goes on, your properties will actually appreciate in value and it'll be worth more when you sell it in the future. And there's actually a lot of tax benefits, including depreciation, the 1031 exchange, and if I hold on to the property long enough and I pass away, then when my heirs get it, they have a step up in basis so they don't have to pay tax on all of the gains I made so far. But after buying those first 2 rental properties, I realized that there was a big problem with my strategy. And that problem is with scalability. You see, when you buy a single family property, you have an insurance policy that you have to pay every month. You have a mortgage payment you have to pay. And you also have a property tax bill that you have to pay. So if I had 30 different properties, that would be 90 pieces of paper that I would have to keep account for because every single property has their own insurance payment, taxes, and mortgage payments. And I figured that'd be too much headache and I wanted to be able to scale in a more manageable fashion. And so that's why I started thinking about multifamily properties. And that's why I wanted to get into a fourplex. Another reason why is because I figured it was so difficult to find my first 2 really good deals and that it would be much easier to find 1 really good deal on a fourplex versus finding 4 really good deals for single family properties. So when I finally decided that I wanted to go into multifamily next, I told my agent, I said, hey, help me find a fourplex in a good area. He started scouring the MLS, started asking his off-market leads, and finally came up with a property that was reasonable. The property was listed at $280,000, and I think we negotiated down to $260,000. The rents were okay at the time. I think they were renting for $600 per unit, and the property was master metered. What master metered means is there's only 1 meter for their entire water supply. So whether unit A or unit B uses all the water and C and D don't, well, you have no idea who's choosing what water. And usually when units are master metered, the landlord has to pay for the entire utility bill. And this isn't really good because now as a landlord, you have an increased expenditure that you normally wouldn't have. And on top of that, because the tenants aren't paying for the water, they're not really motivated to save on utilities. Like they can let the water run for a lot of time without worrying about paying for it because they're not paying for it. But in any case, I thought this was a decent deal and I decided to move on it. I told my property manager, I said, hey, check out this property. Do you think this is a good deal? And do you think this is in a good neighborhood where you would be comfortable managing the property? My property manager actually took a look at it and he told me, hey Sean, this is actually not a bad deal, but did you know there was one a few streets down that was in pretty much similar condition? It was only 1 story instead of 2 stories, and more importantly, it was cheaper and not master metered. So I said, oh, that's so interesting. Let me take a look at that one. So this other property was only $250,000, so $10,000 less than the other one, and each of the rents were a little bit higher, around $600 to $650 per unit. And of course, one of the most important parts is that each unit had their own individual water meters, which meant that each tenant was responsible for paying for their own water bill. So as I heard all that, I thought it was pretty good. I put my offer in, and then we were in the escrow process. Now, since this was my first time buying a multifamily property, it was also my first time dealing with all the challenges that come with financing a fourplex. And one of the biggest challenges was that you could no longer get in with just 20% down like I was used to. In fact, now the banks wanted 25% down. So that was a little bit harder on the budget because now this property is a little bit more expensive than your single family properties and you have to put more money down. So because this property was listed at $250,000, my 25% down payment would be $62,500, which is a pretty big commitment, especially if you're just starting out with real estate investing. The rates on multifamily properties are also a little bit higher compared to single family properties as well. I remember paying around 5% on this property. So to reduce my closing costs, I actually asked my lender to increase my interest rate so that I don't have to pay as much upfront. And of course, this whole time I have actually not been to that area, so I decided to make a trip to meet my team and to see my properties. So when I flew over there, I actually had a pretty good time. My agent took me out to a bunch of restaurants to eat. I hung out with my property manager for a whole afternoon, and I drove by all my properties at nighttime to see how good or how bad these areas actually were. And surprisingly, it wasn't that bad. You know, people live in these homes. They're very responsible. I think for the most part, people don't want to live in bad neighborhoods, right? So you go there and it's actually not that bad. Same with this fourplex. Like I wasn't sure how good of a quality this area was. In fact, I had my agent actually walk me through a couple of the units so I could see it myself. And I was like, this is not bad. Like I would actually live there. Now, unlike the other properties, this property was in pretty good condition already. There was no major rehabs that need to be done. So that was the background on the property. Let's go into the actual numbers to see how well I did on this property. So I'll put the listing price here at $250,000. I did no repairs here. This one was 25% down payment. My interest rate was around 5.125. Mortgage, 30-year mortgage. Total rents per month at the time was around $650 times 4. and then no other revenue per month. Property taxes around 2%. And I pay 10% property management fees. My insurance on this property is pretty high, but remember, it's for 4 units, not just one. Okay, so it looks like my cash on cash ROI was at 6%. So definitely nothing too amazing. And buying this property, I knew that the rents were actually low. My property manager said that if we wanted to, we could increase the rents over time to maybe $750. If we look at the day one numbers, again, you can see that my cash outlay was around $67,000, and that includes closing costs of around $5,000. Mortgage payment of $1,000. Again, because it's a multifamily property, the lender required that I pay my insurance and taxes with the same mortgage payment. So even though right here it says that my mortgage payment is only for $1,000, that's just the principal and interest portion. On top of this, I do have to add in my monthly property taxes and insurance to this number. So my total expense every month is around $1,400. So you can see here, after removing some property tax numbers, property insurance, and keeping a 10% reserve for maintenance and repairs, then I get around $16,000 before my mortgage payments. After paying mortgage, it's $4,000, which leads to that 6% cash on cash ROI. Now, if you add in the appreciation and debt pay down from paying off my mortgage, then my return is actually 21%. So it's actually really good if you look at it in a holistic fashion. Now, this were day one numbers. Over the years, we've turned tenants over, we've increased the rents, and now I'm getting around $825 per unit. One unit is actually getting $875. So let's change these numbers a little bit to see where we're at today. So we'll say 825 times 3. And then we're gonna also add 875. So right now I'm getting $3,350 from this property alone. And as you can see here, the numbers have increased significantly. Now I'm at 16% cash on cash ROI. My net operating income has increased from $16,000 to $23,000. And this is one of the beauties of real estate investing. One of your largest expenses, which is your mortgage, stays fixed for 30 years, while your income increases over time. So as you can see here, my mortgage stayed the same, but my income increased by 25%. So that leads me to a cash on cash return of 16%. And my total ROI now is 31%. And this number is only going to increase as I hold onto the property, as the property appreciates more, and as my rents increase as well. Now, one thing to note here is its maintenance and repairs. See, this number isn't a real loss. Every single month, I am getting this extra $335 into my pocket that I could hold on to and spend whatever. But in my mind, I'm keeping this number and I'm reserving it for a future repair. As you can see here, every year I'm saving around $4,000 for a big capital expenditure or repair on the property. And in fact, that happened. A few months ago, I had these old fences in the backyard for all 4 units that were in really bad condition. And just over time, the winds knocked down the fences and it was time to repair them. So instead of just making some small repairs, I said, you know what, let's just do the whole thing over again and put in brand new fences. And that cost me around $6,000. So these are some surprise expenses that definitely will come up. So it's always important for you guys to have a maintenance and repair budget for when these things come up. For example, at some point, your roof is gonna blow. That's gonna be another $10,000 to $15,000. At some point, your AC is not gonna work. So that's another $5,000. So always save and always have that budget in case something happens to your properties. The worst thing that can happen is you have no budget and now you have to move your tenant out of the property into a hotel until you can fix that problem. If you take a look at our chart on the right here, we can see that as time goes by, as we increase our rents, as appreciation increases, then every single year, we're gonna make more and more money on this property. So it's really cool to see the breakdown of like your gross income, your cost, your net operating income, and how that all increases over time, as well as how you pay off your debt and how your cash on cash ROI increases over time as well. Basically, hold on to the properties as long as you can because you'll be making a lot of money from your rental properties if you buy them correctly. If you guys want a copy of the spreadsheet, you can purchase them down in our store with the link in the description below. Buying this property was definitely a very fun experience and I had a really great time flying over to my city where I own rental properties and just driving down and seeing every single one. Because it's one thing to see them on pictures and it's another thing to actually see them in person and meet your team. So if you have the opportunity to fly out and check out some properties, I definitely encourage it. Of course, stay safe, be smart, and wear a mask. And if you guys are interested in buying your own out-of-state rental property, but you don't know where to start, then definitely check out our course, Remote Rental Riches, where you go over step-by-step how to buy a property from knowing absolutely nothing to going all the way through the escrow process. We even show you guys case studies of how we create our own boots on the ground team, how we analyze deals, and how we eventually make the plunge to put an offer and close on the properties. So if you're interested in that, check it out in the description below as well. Well, I hope you guys all enjoyed this video. If you did, please do me a quick favor and take 2 seconds to smash the like button to let YouTube know that you guys enjoyed videos just like this one. And let me know down in the comments below if you think this was a great deal or if you would have done something a little bit different. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time. Take care.